This is the Liberal Party's document published for the agenda for the last Federal Council meeting and the motion circulated with it. This is the policy, these are the policies for the next government. Now, Mr. Speaker, by contrast, this is the Labor Party's policies. Exactly. On the same A4 paper, which is now published in this book.
Order.
And you can actually read through it: communications policy, economic policy, social policy, and they are cogent. They are sensible. One point rolls from the other. It's in fact the policies of a national party of government. No consistency. There's no, in other words, no framework of policy. No philosophical binding. No articulation of a policy after a philosophic introduction. Just a whole lot of mishmashed, unconnected motions. And then it goes on another one, to define and limit the operations, listen to this, from Western Australia, to define and limit the operations of the external affairs power. And it goes on, Mr. Speaker, look how threadbare it is. Look how threadbare it is. This is for a party supposedly heading for government, and all of this is about Commonwealth-state relations. Now, that's where, Mr. Speaker, this whole notion of a constitutional convention comes from. Your incapacity to be a national party. You are not a national party of government. You are a party of 6 state rumps who send in these unconnected motions that are cavilling at the Commonwealth's power and Commonwealth imperatives and prerogatives. And there is no social policy, there is no economic policy. I mean, even, Mr. Speaker, I keep it in the drawer. But even the ACME Fight Back, Mr. Speaker, had at least some coherence about it. I mean, it's not what you said last year. I've come to love this thing, Mr. Speaker. But here we are. Now, I know there's some things, that get to you after a while.
Hi, perhaps you recognize me. It's your favorite president.
We will decide who comes to this country and the circumstances in which they come.
Anybody in this country doesn't minimise their tax. They want their heads ring.
You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III.
The answer is Mike, because I want to do you slowly.
I was saved by God to make America great again.
We shall fight in the fields and in the streets. We shall fight in the hills. We shall never surrender.
G'day everyone, welcome back to another episode of Commanding the Narrative. My name is Stephen Tripp. We're back in the Fishbowl tonight, starting a little bit early, but I'm sure you don't mind. Joined by Mr. Adam Zahra and also Mr. Sam Buono. How are you tonight, gentlemen?
Good, mate. Yourself?
Very well, thank you.
Been a long day for me, but I'll keep going.
Yeah, you've been out at Gunnedah?
Yeah, but Gunnedah.
What's a Gunnedah?
Not much.
I know. Gunnedah.
Great, typical great country.
Yeah.
Built in one of the most expensive farmland in Australia, the Liverpool Plains.
Okay.
Unbelievable country. Just driving 50, 60 kilometres of just cotton field.
I've ridden my motorcycles through.
Yeah, through the Breezer Plains and into Gunnedah. I didn't go further. I think I should have gone up the Narrabri, but I didn't.
What was the purpose of your trip?
I'll catch up with a few mates.
Oh, yeah?
There's a hit and run.
Don't say that.
So, yeah, it's a good day, but it's a long way.
Now, can we use the C word tonight?
No.
No, we still can't.
Unfortunately.
No, so you're still Mr. Adam Zahra?
Mr. Adam Zahra.
Mr. Adam Zahra. We'll allude to it a little bit later. So thank you, everyone, for watching. As always, we're very humbled that you are joining us and on this journey with us through the political realm and trying to deal with all the issues that are going on here in Australia, but also the world at the moment.
It is really a murky swamp. It is really like wading through a swamp, and every time you get out, there's a leech just on you.
Yeah,
it's just
you really start to understand how the system works and why it is the way it is.
Yeah,
it's why nothing ever gets done.
I actually thank God that it's a slow process, because if it was fast, we'd be in real trouble. We'd
be in therapy.
Oh my goodness.
especially in Australia, it's too much red tape and green tape. And that's where it's declining investor confidence.
Yeah.
Oh, you
Negative growth.
Negative growth because Western world is based on cheap and affordable, reliable energy.
That's exactly right.
And if you kill that market, then you kill everything else with it.
Yeah.
You can't have a strong Western society, right, with an exponentially expensive energy bill.
In Australia, you can't have high wages and high power.
No, you can't. One or the other.
You can't have both.
So I got told off last time because I didn't have the gold microphones. That's why we got the gold microphone tonight. And if you want to support us, the best way to do it is by heading to commandingthenarrative.com, hit the donate button, and you can donate to us directly. Or if you want to go through Buy Me a Coffee, there's that option as well.
Maybe we can all get golden microphones then.
Yeah,
we don't spend any money. That was not from capital raise.
But that's the thing. Any donations that come into the show, we put straight back into the show. We buy new equipment and different things, so it is much appreciated. It helps to pay for the stream, as I say every week. It helps to pay for the website, which is coming up soon, and most importantly gives us a very warm and fuzzy feeling inside. So thank you to everyone who's donated in the past, and if you want to donate going forward, please head to commandingthenarrative.com. While you're there, also go to the main page. You can keep up to date with all the podcasts that we've done recently. We've done some really, really good ones. We had Dr. Gary Johns on Friday talking about Aboriginal issues, which was very insightful. John Alexander was talking about high-speed rail and housing affordability and how to fund it all. That was a fantastic episode. And also you can see there the one that we did with Dr. Christopher Reynolds, who's always a wealth of knowledge and fascinating. You'll get all the weekly articles and newsletters there, and also upcoming events. If you want to know who's on the podcast in this coming week, you can get all that information by heading to commandingthenarrative.com. If you haven't done already, hit the sign up button in the top right hand corner and you'll get that regular newsletter from me. So it's really the first port of call to go to check us out is by heading to commandingthenarrative.com. Don't rely on social media because we always get banned and blocked and whatever on those platforms.
Are you finding that when you're texting people and things now that it's kind of like always a mess?
Because it changes your words. Yeah.
I'm telling you.
And it doesn't change it straight away. It changes it like after a few words.
I'll type it, and then it'll go in and change it. So I have to reread the message, go through and re-edit it before I send it.
Yeah.
So if people say, when I say like to this or something like that, and you get Therese from me, I'm sorry, I don't even know why it says Therese, but it just does it all the time.
Yeah. Got Courage is the cure, says greetings from Perth. Well, hello and thank you for watching. It's much appreciated, all the way from Perth. So
yeah, wow.
That's fantastic. Great. Hopefully you're getting some good weather over there. Also, we need to also let you know about Australians for Better Government. Some exciting things hopefully will be happening with Australians for Better Government going forward. One of the exciting things that we just did was this event here, where you can see Adam was there. He spoke very, very well. I also did I thought an important address about
very important.
Yeah, Chapter 2 of the Constitution and the Governor General being the one that should run the executive side of government, not the Prime Minister, and how our ministers should be not selected by the Prime Minister, but selected by the Governor General and selected from the broad range of Australia, not just the people sitting in Parliament. Yeah. And all that would take is deleting one line of the Constitution. So that was a very important address, I thought. And also, obviously, Kevin Lockray spoke as well, co-founder of Australians for Better Government. He's always fantastic. And the Honourable John Ruddick also spoke there. So check that out. Head to australiansforbetter.com and also sign up to be a member there as well. The more members that we can get, the stronger that movement will be. And lastly, I'll let you know about also Let's Rethink Renewables. I'm also the president of Let's Rethink Renewables. It's let'srethinkrenewables.org.
Hence the gold mic.
Yeah. Yeah. And, obviously this renewable stuff is not going to go away now that Labor's been elected and Chris Bowen's still in the chair. And it's only probably going to go from strength to strength from the renewable side of things.
Exactly
it's going to go from worse to worse fast.
Yes, that's right. Your electricity prices are going to go worse to worse, and also the destruction that's happening to our environment, and also the destruction that's happening to our economy.
Yep.
And the future of Australians, my children, your children, grandchildren, whatever it might be, are going to be paying for all this stuff, and we're not going to have a reliable electricity grid to show for it. So,
do you have any footage at hand on some of the destruction that's being caused by the just put it. I know it's a pain in the butt, but just flick it on there. I know I'm not talking about it tonight, but flick it on there, because people don't realize the destruction that this so-called renewable energy stuff causes.
Well, the best place to go is Rainforest Reserves on YouTube, which I'll try and bring up now, because this is going to be a big issue for you, Adam, isn't it?
It's a massive issue.
Only tomorrow. So,
night, yeah.
I guess the best one to show. I've shown this on the show before,
but I think people need to really just, you've got to say it till you're blue in the face, right?
Yeah.
Did you know they plan to build over 3,000 wind turbines on Queensland's Great Dividing Range? Over 3,700 kilometres of new haulage roads will carve through old growth forest. Destroying forests for industrial renewables makes no sense. It doesn't have to be this way. The intact biodiverse ranges of Queensland are no place for renewables. Take 2 minutes to learn the truth about the destruction they cause. Go to rainforestreserves.org.au.
I mean, we have the land mass the size of America, roughly, even though it doesn't look like it on the world map and stuff like that, right? And we have 30 million people compared to, 320 million people or whatever it is in America, okay? How much vacant land do we have that's desert that we could put nuclear power plants in there? And we're not actually destroying any sort of biodiverse
well, the problem is the desert's so far away, and a lot of I've spoken to the teals on polling booths, and they talk about these renewables being built in the desert. Well, it's not happening. As you can see on this flyover here, Rainforest Reserves have done a 3D flyover of all the projects that have been announced, what it's going to look like. Look at the amount of land that's going to be taken up with these projects all across New South Wales. They've done similar ones for Victoria and also Queensland, but that's not desert. That's farmland. You can see the lots farmland there. That's all. I mean, it might not be the best farmland, but some of it is. Some of it's prime agricultural land. That's right. But some, it's all valuable land. Look at that. Look at that wind turbine project there. That's incredible. The amount of land that's going to be taken up by those projects.
But that field there, even this field, if you took not even a quarter of that, you could put in like a nuclear power plant or coal-fired power station or things like that. So what happens is they're destroying so much land for such little power yield. Right, and don't forget too, it's unreliable. Okay, and it's what do you call it? Weather dependent. Yeah. That's the word. Weather dependent. Right. That's what gold mic over there. That's why weather dependent. Okay, so we don't always have wind. And don't forget too, right? That has to those wind propellers don't perform or produce energy unless it's in a 70 to 100 kilometer wind range.
Yeah.
So when is it blowing 70 to 100 kilometers? Over 100 kilometers, they're just shut down. Under 70 kilometers, they don't work. So you're also narrowing down, right, the percentage of when they can work.
It's such an ongoing issue, and that's why we've got Let's Rethink Renewables. So look, it wasn't available before, but it is now. If you want to sign up to be a member, head to letsrethinkrenewables.org. Sign up. It's $10 membership. So if you want to obviously get into this fight and get behind what we're trying to do, head to the website and go there and sign up, and it'll be much appreciated. Obviously, the more people that we have to this cause, the better. Have you fallen asleep there, mate?
No, that's right.
And you know what? It's a really good name, Let's Rethink Renewables too, because it's not saying that it shouldn't be. No, but it shouldn't be any renewables. Okay, but what it's saying is we got to rethink the strategy.
Yeah.
Of how we implement renewables.
Well, look, under some circumstances, wind and solar might be applicable. Look at South Africa at the moment. People are using solar because they can't rely on the government anymore. And their coal plants are not working. So people that can afford it are putting solar on their roofs. So in that instance, you could say, okay, well, there's a place for solar, but there's no place for wind and solar in running a first world economy when you have no other baseload power.
Or an industrial economy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like 3,000 degrees, you need to, more than that to smelt steel, all these kind of things. Like there's just not enough energy from wind or solar to be able to do it, And
that's
don't forget, it's got to be 24 hours.
Yeah.
Right? Unfortunately, solar produces a lot of energy. The problem is the sun goes down. If we had two suns, one goes down, one comes up, we're all right. But we don't have that. You know what I mean? It's not a movie. We don't have that.
Yeah. All right. So we're still getting through things. The last thing is Courage to the Cure says great articles in the Light, Steve. Thank you very much. And speaking of the Light, the new issue is out now. So if you want to become a distributor, head to thelightaustralia.com and you can buy some copies. I think they're about 15 cents a copy for you to go out and distribute to people for free. It's free to read and free to share once you've paid that initial cost of basically printing the papers. So if you want to do that, if you want to get involved, please head to that website and follow the prompts there and get involved with the Light if you want to get real information out there without all the censorship and all the social media bans and everything like that. Please do that.
I mean, the government should take a page out of the bloody Light and learn how to be efficient. 15 cents to print a newspaper. Per
15 cents
per paper.
15 cents.
I mean, gee whiz, 15 cents. What's that buy you? You can't even get mixed lollies for 15 cents. And remember that?
Right.
20 cents for a mixed bag of lollies. You can't even get that anymore. It's like $1.20 or something more than that now.
You just get jelly beans for 4 for 1 cent.
Yeah, well, 4 for 1 cent.
Okay, let's get into it. So Sam, we had you on tonight to talk about the election results. We're going to do that at the end because there's a lot of things happening in the world right now, and a lot of issues to talk about. So this might be another long one. We're already 15 minutes in, and we haven't even started yet. But let's talk about this guy here. Now, there's a councillor in Campbelltown. His name is Adam Zahra. He actually looks a little bit like you too, Adam.
Similar.
He's put up a motion that's going to be read tomorrow. Is that right?
That's correct. Tomorrow night.
And what this councillor is saying is he wants to see the empirical evidence of climate change.
The empirical data excluding modelling. Okay, because modelling, that's the key, because they can send us all the modelling they want. Okay, but that's not observed empirical data.
So this councillor's put out this video explaining his motion. If you want to check it out, head to his Facebook page, Adam Zahra, Independent for Campbelltown.
That's correct.
So yeah, it's great that we have councillors out there that are pushing these sorts of motions and just asking those simple basic questions that Senator Malcolm Roberts has been asking for a very, very long time in the Australian Senate. We've seen all those letters he sent to his fellow parliamentarians saying, okay, if climate change is real, Where's the evidence? You should be able to just, pull it out and just put it on the table and say, here it is.
It should be bound and ready to go.
Yeah. And it's always based on modeling because they always talk about what's going to happen in the future. They don't talk about what's happening now, although they say stupid things like it was the hottest year on record when it was a mild summer. And
because don't forget too, right, is that I just learned about another factor, okay, which is urban heat islands. Okay. So urban heat islands basically doesn't attribute, although people will say it attributes to climate change, right? But what happens is, obviously, humans make constructions, okay, and they're made of concrete and they absorb heat, okay? So there's the radiation from the sun on the brickwork and on your roofs and stuff like that. It absorbs heat, and it takes time for that heat to be expelled, okay? So, by the time night's finished and the sun comes up, like the roof would be pretty cool of your house, right? Provided it's not a balmy night that we get sometimes in summertime, right? So what happens is, but what I've just discovered is that the temperatures, the temperature gauges that read global temperature, and they're all set up near cities. They used to be in rural areas, and because the cities expanded to the edge of where the actual monitoring station is, okay, the heat that does come off the buildings does affect the reading from the temperature gauge. But if you subtract all those temperature towers, those gauges from the cities, and only use rural ones where they're unimpeded by man-made buildings, you'll actually find that there's been little to no climate warming or global warming at all. I think it's from memory, don't quote me, it's 0.6 of a degree. 0.6. Not to mention that we're still colder than we were like 1,500 to 2,000 years ago. We're in the middle of it. We're just coming out of an ice age. That's why the polar caps are still frozen. Yeah. So if depending from where you're comparing, like plenty of, Professor Ian Plimer, Dr. Peter Reid, Senator Malcolm Roberts, or all of
Tony Heller,
so many, John Anderson, they all say that, where you take the reading from is whether it's hot or cold. What happens if we're about 5 degrees colder than it was in Egyptian times?
Yeah. John the Boy says, "Hey gents," and also says, "Good on you, Adam." So
Thank you.
hello to John the Boy. Dilemma says, "Weird how climate change only started after we started keeping records. The climate never changed on Earth before then."
Well, I can't agree with that point. Okay, I don't agree because we have had ice ages, and we have had.
Well, you can go through the
geological records and see. But the biggest thing is, all right, is it human-driven carbon emissions that are driving climate change? And all the data shows, like real data, real data shows that the temperature goes up and then carbon dioxide rises with it.
Well, there's the argument that the media have been captured as well, and I think this clip that I've seen on this clip.
I saw this.
I'll put it on.
Canada's warming faster. Mexico's warming faster than the planet.
Latin America and the Caribbean warming faster than the global average.
Africa's warming 4 times.
Asia. I think Australia's in here as well.
Yes.
So it's all saying that these places are warming faster than the rest of the world. Well, how is that possible?
So who's winning? Who's winning the race? Who's winning the scare
But it
race?
just goes to show the media has been captured on this issue, and it's all just a narrative. I guess that's why we call it commanding the narrative. They're commanding the narrative on this issue.
Yeah. And you pump it enough into people's ears, and they start to believe it. Everyone, we're the same. Like we're just people like you guys. It's the same thing. The only thing is that maybe because we're a little bit behind the political veil, is that you can see behind it, like, you know, how. And Jacinta Ardern did the big interview with Oprah.
Yeah.
Right. And she said, you know, you put fear into people, and that's how you get them to do whatever you want.
She actually said that?
Said it. It was like, oh gosh, you know what I mean? Like, I almost like threw up, like. And she's saying, like, I know that she, you know, I think she was trying to come across like she didn't do that. And then somebody cuts to a clip where, you know, if you leave the house and you're not vaccinated, you can't do this. And if you leave the house and you go and see your mum and dad, you'll kill them, and all this kind of. And she's putting fear into people too. It was pretty interesting.
Was this recent?
Yeah, it was recent. It was all over. It was also over social media.
Oh, okay. I probably won't be able to bring it up that quickly. No. Okay. All right. Well, yeah, I mean, it just goes to show these people that are in control.
Oh. So anyway, my motion, getting back to that point, is about just getting empirical data, because if the council is driven by federal and state politics. Okay, so what happens is they set targets for us to meet, and then we have to meet them. We don't really have a say in, because don't forget too, Big Brother or Big Daddy will come and slap you and take away your funding. So then what happens is the grass don't get cut. And don't forget too, rates only cover about 70% of the operations of council. So what happens is you have to lobby and petition government for grants for everything. So otherwise things just don't get done. So what happens is, if we don't do if council doesn't do what they're told by state.
Well, John the Boy says they don't care if they slip the tongue because people don't stand up. Is exactly right.
Well, that's right.
If people don't complain, like I've noticed this in construction. Like you go out west and you build a project. Most people just put up with it. They don't say anything. You go to these city areas like North Sydney and areas around there. They get all these environment group or community groups that get set up to complain about the project, and they get what they want because they're willing to complain about it. They're willing to voice their opinion about it. And they're willing to get active on the ground with the grassroots movement to do something. Win. You got to stand up, and you got to be willing to say something.
And you got to be willing to be the nail that sticks out that gets hit with the hammer. You have to be willing for that.
Yeah. Okay, Sam. Have you been following American politics, mate?
Yeah.
How do you feel about the split between Mr. Elon Musk and President Donald Trump at the moment?
It was going to happen eventually, wasn't it?
Well, I suppose so. Yeah.
Two egos, big as Sydney heads.
So this CNN.
I'm on Musk's side, to be truthful.
A lot of people are.
Yeah.
And we'll go through that. This actually is a very lengthy article in CNN Business, but it actually is pretty comprehensive. So we might go quickly through it. It's the whole timeline of what happened. It all started with a tweet from Elon that says, "I'm sorry, but I just can't stand it anymore. This massive, outrageous pork-filled congressional spending bill is a disgusting abomination. Shame on those who voted for it. You know you did. wrong, you know it. So that's what kicked it all off. And he just keeps tweeting about this, constantly tweeting. He says, again, it more than defeats all the cost savings achieved by the Doge team at great personal costs and risk. So a lot of people would already know that he's had his Tesla cars set on fire, and Tesla's taken a hit with people not buying Teslas because they're outraged at him being aligned with Trump. So,
yeah, I saw a bloke ride the other day in the city. He said, "I drive a Tesla." Before Elon Musk went
crazy.
Yeah.
Sticker. They've got a sticker, bumper sticker for it. Whoever came up with that bumper sticker must be making a fortune.
That's right.
So you can see that Elon really started going crazy with the tweets. He starts resharing old posts from Trump saying that we need to, not exceed the debt ceiling, and bringing up previous things like that. Elon says, I couldn't agree more when an old Trump tweet says no member of Congress should be eligible for re-election if our country's budget is not balanced, deficit's not allowed. Look, I think that's something for Australians for better government to consider.
Oh, my oath, mate.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
So this is what Trump has to say.
Elon and I had a great relationship. I don't know if we're well anymore. I was surprised because you were here. Everybody in this room practically was here as we had a wonderful send-off. He said wonderful things about me. You couldn't have nicer. Said the best thing. He's worn the hat. Trump was right about everything. And I am right about the great, big, beautiful bill. Elon and I had a great relationship.
So look, this is just blown up. Elon starts to say, slim, beautiful bill for the win instead of the big, beautiful bill. He's saying, let's cut it down. But he kind of gives it away here. Elon says, keep the EV solar incentive cuts in the bill, even though no oil and gas subsidies are touched. Very unfair, but ditch the mountain of disgusting pork in the bill. So this is the argument that Trump's making, is that he really started to flare up when they cut the EV subsidies, and that's going to hurt Tesla's business. So how much of that do you think is true? Do you think it's really about cost cutting? Like, do you think do you think Elon's more concerned about the cost cutting, or is he more concerned about his bottom line with the subsidies that he's been getting from Tesla?
I think it's a combination of both.
Yeah.
He did chop a lot of money. He chopped about $400-500 billion from this Doge thing.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, well, I've busted my backside for the last 6 months.
Yeah.
Doing all these cuts.
Yeah.
Next thing, on the stroke of a pen of a legislation, you're going to give tax cuts and more spending.
Mm.
We've got it. Now, he's basically saying, I'm trying to get the budget in the balance. We're trying to get our debt ceiling down. Next thing, you're just splashing up on the water of this new bill, big, beautiful bill.
Yeah.
Slap in the face for all the hard work that you've
That's
done.
right. He's busted my backside for the last 3 or 4 or 5 months.
But he can't talk about cutting government spending when and then in this, one hand he's saying, let's cut government spending, and on the other hand say, but except for me, keep my subsidies coming.
Well, don't forget too, very, very smart businessman. Maybe he thought that he knew that these cuts were going to come from, previous Trump presidency and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So what happens is you turn around and go, well, if I'm on his side and if I'm not in his pocket, but on his side helping him out.
So you think it was premeditated?
Well, maybe he was trying to figure out a way to, Elon
keep
Musk
the gravy train going.
Yeah, Elon Musk is about 5 to 10 steps ahead of everyone else, right? Like everyone kind of says that. Who I don't know. I mean, none of us know him, but you know what I mean. Like anyone who does know him says that, right?
Yeah.
So he's probably gone, well, Trump's probably going to get in. I'll back Trump, and then what happens is I might be able to squeeze another 4 years out of these subsidies.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. That makes sense. It's follow the money. We're always told to follow the money.
What about this claim from Elon? He put this tweet out that says, "Without me, Trump would have lost the election. Dems would control the House, and the Republicans would be 51 to 49 in the Senate." I mean,
I don't like anyone says that without me, you wouldn't have achieved it.
I don't believe Trump would have lost without Elon. I think without Elon, Trump still would have won the election.
Might not have had as much of a mandate.
Well, look, I think there's a big following behind Elon, but I think Trump had. What do you think, Sam?
He's always wrong.
Yeah, you're always wrong. You're not good at making predictions.
It didn't hurt Trump.
It didn't hurt Trump. That's
I agree. I don't think it hurt Trump. But what I'm saying
What
is,
he spent $400 million.
oh well, like
which is a drop in the bucket.
they spend money, man. That's just the way. And it's always claimed back, and
Yeah.
there's always a million ways to get it back.
Yeah.
But I think, look, I think they're really smart businessmen, and I wouldn't be surprised at the end of the day if it is staged, if it's just show ponying, right? Trying for a political end,
No, too much. Too many of those tweets are too personal to get beyond for them to come back.
Look, I have a feeling that Trump will smooth this over.
No,
He'll get Elon on side to a point. What he needs, he doesn't want Elon to go to the next what do they call it, the next election in 2 years, midterms. He doesn't want Elon to go to the midterms and back the Democrats. That's what he really needs to avoid. So I think he'll get him back on side somehow.
Do you think Elon would go back to the Democrats?
I think, well, as you're the one making the argument that he's going to do these things just to keep his gravy train going.
Yeah, it's true.
So maybe he will.
They can switch on a doorknob.
I hope not.
John the Boy says, "No way it's staged. It's way too personal."
That's what I think. I agree with you, mate.
Yeah, but they're like that. Oh, look, they're, I don't know, they're businessmen, multi-million-dollar what?
We don't know what's going on behind the scenes as well. I mean, Elon had that black eye the other day. Apparently had some punch up with someone in the White House. You just don't know what to believe. But Elon put this tweet out as well. It was actually a poll. Is it time to create a new political party in America that actually represents the 80% in the middle? And it got 80.4% of people saying yes.
Never believe Twitter polls.
Never believe Twitter poll, says the pollster.
Well, it's on Twitter, and who runs Twitter? Who owns it?
Him.
Right. So, gee whiz.
John the Boy says the master of the deal at it again. And then he says he wants to form a third political party. I'm assuming that was Musk that said that. I mean, that's what we need here. Can he come to Australia and form a third political party? That we need that more here than maybe the Americans at the moment.
All he has to do is become naturalized, relinquish his citizenship to America or Canada.
Well, isn't he South African?
In South Africa.
Yeah.
Right. So, and then just run. You can do that. You can do that because you can't do that in America. I don't think you have to be born in America to run.
But don't you think so? Obviously, this all comes to the point where you got this back and forth going on, and this thread goes for such a long time. But it finally gets to this point here where it really starts to get personal. Elon put out this tweet that says, "Time to drop the really big bomb. Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. That is the real reason they have not been made public. Have a nice day, DJT." That really stepped things over the line.
That's full on.
That's beyond.
Well, it's basically saying he's a pedo.
Yeah.
I don't believe it.
There's no way Trump's going to let him back in after that.
No, but I don't believe that Trump. I'm not saying he never went to Epstein Island or something like that, because let's face it, you might not know what's going on behind closed doors.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, I don't. Trump doesn't come across to me as somebody that would do such heinous things like that.
Well, there's those photos that people have put out of Trump being close to Elon's son, he might be about 7 or so.
Right.
I mean, and the clips, well, the comments say, if you knew that Trump had been on the Epstein list, why are you letting him be so close to your son? Wouldn't you be a protective father? And that as a father, Adam, that biological thing kicks in. If you sense, even get a shred of a hint that something might not be right about a certain person, you don't let your kids hang around.
No way. It wouldn't. It just wouldn't. You wouldn't do it. And the thing is, you'd pull support straight away. So he would have seen the Epstein list.
Yeah, he wouldn't be pumping so much of his own personal money into a campaign to get someone elected if he knew that.
And he would have known a long time ago, right? Because didn't he have the Epstein list, the files, a long time ago?
I don't know how, if he does know who's in the Epstein list. I don't know when he knew. Who knows?
Yeah,
we don't know.
I just don't think. Trump doesn't get. Look, he might be a lot of things, but I just don't. I don't get that vibe from him at all. And there's plenty of people that I look at and go, yeah, right. Well,
Well, Elon says in another post that came straight after that, when he says that the truth will come out. Look, this is the problem with a lot of things. If something's hidden and they're not releasing the truth, then all this speculation mounts and people start to make their own minds up. That's why you need to get stuff out there so we really know what's happening.
Like empirical data without modeling on
Yeah, well,
climate change.
there you go. That's right. We want to see the evidence of things.
Where is it? Just give us the evidence and then we'll shut us all up.
Yeah. So, now Elon's talking about getting rid of SpaceX or not giving it to the government and things like this. So this whole saga went on and on and on. It's all playing out in real time on X. So it's really changed the dynamic of politics, because we're starting to see things play out in real life. We're seeing this happen with Elon and Trump play out on X. We've also seen the South African president in the White House and that confrontation there. Also Zelensky before that. You're seeing these conflicts play out in real time,
unedited,
in real life. Yeah,
like just uncensored.
But I think it's a good thing. I think we need to see that.
Hey.
Oh,
look,
bit of diplomacy with a bit of nous. It would have been nice.
Look, diplomacy is good.
You just can't say that sort of stuff in front of everyone.
Like what?
What he did to Zelensky.
What, saying that you're going to start World War III?
Well, he's never going to start World War III, you know. But I'm just saying.
Well, if he keeps fighting, he might. Like when do you?
Come on, there was a peace treaty going to get signed or something like that, and then he launched drones in and shot up all the planes.
A week ago, now he's blaming Putin because Putin doesn't want to do a deal.
Yeah, well, would you do a deal if you have an accord happening, and then the person who you're doing the deal with sends drones over and starts blowing up stuff?
True, but I'm just saying
that.
He's blamed Zelensky. Then 2 weeks later, he says suddenly Putin doesn't want to do a deal. So, but they're all at fault.
Yeah. Oh, look, it's all there.
What I've really been surprised at is that I've seen a few polls now on X. I know you're saying don't trust the X polls, but all the polls that I've seen is, the question's normally who do you trust or who do you support, Elon or Trump? Roughly about 60% are supporting Elon.
All right.
He has a big following. We've seen that in the past with the Dogecoin. He says go buy Doge, and suddenly everyone jumps on board with it. Maybe he has more pull specifically with the younger crowd than we realize, and there seems to be a lot of support out there for Elon.
I think, for me personally, he lost me when he put the tariffs in.
You mean Trump?
Yeah, sorry. He lost me with the tariffs. He didn't need to do it.
Yeah, I
lost my confidence in him then.
Yeah, because you're only looking at the short-term pain. There might be some real long-term gain.
There's no long-term gain when you put tariffs on.
Not for Australia, but for America there might be.
It's the only thing that's about America.
But isn't that?
Yeah, but that's what he's going. America first. I mean,
right.
it's not good for us.
But hell, that's the point. And what we would you feel the same way if Prime Minister Albanese did the same thing? Right? Oh, wait a minute. Wrong person. I'm sorry, wrong person. But what I'm saying is, he's the president, prime minister, right? He turns around and goes, right, we're going to put tariffs on imports and blah, 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 and we're going to try to build Australia. I mean, we can't do it anyway because of the Lima Agreement and all that kind of stuff, right? So we've already got all these protocols. Imagine if he turned around and said, we're going to exit. We're going to revoke the Lima Agreement. We're going to revoke the Kyoto Protocol. We're going to revoke this stuff and actually start doing stuff for Australia, right? Above any other country.
So Albanese is set to meet with Trump very soon. Is that right? What do you think is going to happen there? I know you're hopeless you're good at analyzing data. You're useless as hell at predictions. So it's probably the wrong person to ask. But
if I was an advisor to Albo, I said I wouldn't go to America. I wouldn't go to I wouldn't go to the West Wing and sit on the couch, sit on the chair and wait for him to say what's done. Albo done to my country. You know?
Well, we want to see it.
Yeah. Well, I just don't know.
I mean, what would Albo do?
I know one or two Albo stories.
Albo's pretty smooth. He's pretty smooth.
I know some Albo secrets.
Oh, share.
No way. No.
Well, then you can't say that then. You and your secrets all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. What do you think is going to happen?
Cliffhanger. Save that to the end of the episode. Right. Well, I'll tell you a secret next episode.
Yeah. Tune in next time for Commanding the Narrative.
Same time, same channel.
No, I say I know some.
Kenny Blue?
Huh?
Can he blue?
Look,
No.
I tell you what, he's charming. I listened to him on the Mark Burris podcast, and I can understand why people get sucked in because he just seems like a ordinary guy that he's been in there a long time. He wants to do the right thing. And
Do you think the last couple of months is a bit of Dan Andrews in that?
Yeah,
I think there is.
Yeah.
I'll just rack up the credit card, keep everybody happy,
Mm.
and I'll bash Morrison and I'll bash Dutton to win.
And demonize them, make them sound like the devil, and
that's right.
And I'm just here, just trying to.
I'm the housing.
I'm the housing guy. Come good, and I have to pinch. Like he was talking about it on the podcast, how he has to pinch himself every time he drives into Parliament, and he can't believe how far he's come. And,
I get. Look, that's legitimate.
Yeah.
Right. Like think about even us.
He's been in there for 30 years.
Yeah, but
though.
think about it. But not as prime minister.
But he's been he was elected in 1996. I was in year 6 at school.
Yeah, he got to the very, very top. I mean, not everyone gets to do that.
Is that 30 years or is that
More.
No,
30.
just almost 30. Yeah.
Well, I'm saying he got to the very, very top. So all good, good on you, Albo, for putting your head down and doing what you needed to do. Right? Like I got no qualms with him. I probably don't really have any qualms with him as a person.
This is the thing. I think a lot, even people like Pauline Hanson says he's a good guy behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Like you get on with him very well.
It's the party.
See, but this is the thing. This goes back to the central point about what's going to happen with Trump. Maybe he'll get on very well with Trump. Maybe Trump will like him.
I don't think he'll like him because of the
Trump needs some new friends.
Whole totalitarian sort of
well, I hope that comes
side of politics that the Labor Party kind of are pushing. It's a complete opposite to what America is, what he's trying to get America back to.
Well, Trump. If Trump can do a deal with Albo, he'll like him.
Oh yeah, money talks, right?
Dilemma says, fun fact: when America demands you spend $50 billion on defense, what they really mean is buy $50 billion of our weapons and float our crashing economy. So, it's probably close to the.
It's pretty true.
Well, once again, we just said America first in Trump.
What about this comment from John the Boy? You can comment on this, Sam. He says, before the change of election date from April 12th to May 3, he was losing.
Oh, he was getting momentum before that too.
But let's talk about that just quickly. What if it was an April 12 election? Do you think it would have been the same result?
Probably.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I've got an opinion on this. A few Liberal Party people I've spoke to the last couple of months or so have said this. Australians didn't want a minority government. So they backed Albo. And Middle Australia, in the suburbs of Sydney and Melbourne and in Brisbane, all went Albo.
Look, I think
even the inner city seats, the Greens lost those seats because their vote went down and all went to the Labor Party.
And I think a big problem as well is when the left are in power, they do things so slowly and incrementally. It's not a massive change. It's not an upheaval of things. When the right comes in and has to clean up the mess, there's an upheaval that happens because they have to try and do it quickly. We saw it with Howard and Costello when they came in, and even Abbott and Joe Hockey when they came in and tried to clean up the budget. There was a little bit of an upheaval. There's a big cuts in spending and things like that. Same thing with Trump. He's brought in these tariffs to try and address the problem. It's really Biden's mess that he's trying to clean up and the Democrats' mess, but he's taking all the heat for it because he's the one trying to get the broom in there and clean it up.
That's the crowd. That's the crowd though. That's the crowd vision. You don't see who did the mess, right? You're seeing the person clean up the mess,
and that's the effectiveness of the left.
Yeah.
The same thing is happening now with these riots in California.
Yeah.
This is footage from a X page called BG on the Scene. I think this is his stuff's better than what you see in the media because he's actually showing real footage of these things happening. Look, it's what it really is it's Trump coming in, cleaning up Biden's mess. Biden left the borders open, and now you're getting all these riots everywhere. I don't know what's going on with that shark there.
Only in America.
Only in America, right? But
He's going home from work, Sharkies or something.
Yeah, but I mean, what's going on in America, or specifically in California right now? Look, you can see here they're setting cars on fire. There's really crazy things happening. Reporters are getting shot with rubber bullets. Like, the general public in America are looking at this sort of stuff and going, well, we weren't getting this with Biden in there. We weren't getting riots in the street and ICE coming in and evicting people that,
but you were getting
sure they were illegal aliens.
Emptied, but you were getting your pocket emptied for the subsidies that they were giving them to keep them quiet.
Well, specifically on this, you've got illegal immigrants in America. They've all flooded across the border. Now now Trump's trying to get them out, and they're rioting. Look, most people are probably saying, well, why are we having to deal with this? Why can't we just let them stay here and everything will be okay and we can move on?
This is a direct result. This is where the juice is worth the squeeze. It's worth the pain now. Get them out, and then fix up your economy. This is results.
I'm just looking at the asphalt there. There's not much spending going on in the area. I mean, even before you got the riots going on, their streets are in disarray. But look at all the graffiti behind there as well. Right. I mean, the place. I mean, I saw this in Hong Kong when I went to Hong Kong. There's riots in the streets when that was happening. I think that was about 2019 or 2017, somewhere around then. This is not good stuff. And
San Francisco, is it, or was it?
This is LA.
Right.
This is LA happening. You can see, tear gas everywhere. Police cars being damaged. There were scenes that I was seeing where the police. I think it might even be this one where the highway patrol was trapped under a bridge and rioters are all around them throwing rocks at them and setting cars on fire and everything like that. Like, this is a serious thing. Fires being started everywhere. It's an upheaval. It really is.
Is this an extension of George Floyd from 5 years ago?
Well, is this being funded by the same people?
It wouldn't surprise me.
But you said something on the way here. You said that this one good thing about this for Trump is that it's taken the focus off him and Elon.
Yeah.
If someone was going to stage these riots to hurt Trump, and really, how can you hurt Trump now that he's in there? He's only in there for one more term. You can't get rid of him anyway. Is this to distract Trump? Is this to hurt Trump? Or is this just something that's started off its own accord? Maybe there isn't some nefarious character behind the scenes pulling the strings.
Isn't there always a nefarious character pulling the strings?
Well, we assume so. I don't, look at this.
Is this Antifa driven?
Probably wouldn't surprise me. And it's the start of summer over there too.
So everyone's getting a bit rowdy. It's warm.
It's warm. So let's start protesting.
Check this out here.
We're on vacation.
Look at all these cars on fire.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. And they're not only are they on fire, but they've also been graffitied.
Is that Antifa?
Damaged.
Is that Antifa or was that Palestinian flag?
Oh, that's not a Palestinian. I don't know what.
They're Mexican flags.
Mexican flags.
Yeah. I mean, it also begs the question as well. I mean, if you're going to have these people come to your country and when you go to deport them, they start rioting, do you have any sympathy for that? Or is that not the types of person that you should have in your country? Like, what are your general feelings about that sort of stuff?
If they're not legal, mate, they're out the back.
Well, this is the thing.
Head home.
That's the thing. There's rules
and
play by the rules. I've always said it. I don't mind. I don't mind immigrant, like in America's situation. Right? Mind immigration, right? When it's done the right way. Even in Australia, if you have immigrants come in, yes, we need immigrants to come in. Do it the right way.
That's right.
Okay. And do you want? Sorry, Stephen.
No, you go.
Do you want the poorest of the poor coming into your country? What skills are they going to bring? What benefit to the country are they going to bring, or are they going to be burdensome?
The big thing for me is that, you don't want them coming in because if they're not coming in under your circumstances, just like John Howard says, it's up to us who we let in under our circumstances, or whatever that line was. I play it at the beginning of every show. I should know it off by heart, but I don't. That's one thing. But once these people are here and they've been living here for a year or two, suddenly they're being deported and having to go back to their own countries, potentially going back to situations where they may be in harm's way, or they might be, something could go wrong when they go back. There may be people waiting for them. Who knows? I don't know. Depending on what country they're going back to, maybe they're going to be oppressed. Maybe they're going to be thrown in jail. Maybe who knows what could happen. You know, you would react you wouldn't react in a very calm way, would you? You'd be irrational. You'd start, and if you saw a lot of people out there protesting as well, you'd jump on the bandwagon.
I think if you had to think about every single person's situation and what they've fled from, right? Most people put themselves in their own situation. I'm not, in general, okay? Like if you're running from a gang, you went into the gang in the first place, so you came on their radar in the first place, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's 100% of cases, but I am saying that it's a little bit of it's like Are
you okay? Do you need to go to bed? Maybe we can take you to bed if you want. You're falling asleep.
It's all right. It's not going to go for much longer. But I was going to say, right? I just think you have to play by the rules that your country has set.
That's right.
Right. So it doesn't matter what happened 5 years ago. It doesn't matter if you came in and you've been living here for 2 years and you've been married and you've had a kid there and stuff like that. You came in illegally. You came in illegally from the start. You did it wrong, right? That's from where the judgment lies. Okay, come in, and I'm not saying it's easy to do. I've never had to do it myself.
The flip side of it is if you just let everyone in, your society goes to hell because you can't keep up with the roads and the rail and the hospitals and the schools.
Your culture. Don't even worry about roads, rails, hospitals, and schools. What about your culture?
Well, look at what's happening in the UK. I was watching. I've started following this guy. He's actually very interesting. He's a tourist. He just goes to different countries and does this and he's fascinating. Like it goes for an hour. It's just him talking, but he does it in such an entertaining sort of way. And he's got that deadpan sort of humor. So it's not like he's trying to be overtly funny or anything, but he's been to Zimbabwe and he's been to Afghanistan and different places, but he did one about the UK where he's actually English. And there's places in London.
And no go zones.
No, they're not go zone. They're not dangerous or anything like that, but 0%. He's going off the census data. There's 0% white people living there. How is that possible in England, in London? I mean, this is the situation that they're in right now, where you have whole areas of London where you don't even have white people living there. And you're talking about culture's so important. Yeah.
Culture dead.
Yeah.
Right? That's the same. It's happening here.
It's replaced.
It's happening
and
here.
Yeah.
It's happening here. Right? I'm not saying we're not there yet, but it's coming.
Yeah. This is why assimilation is so important. Yes, you can bring other races into your society, but if you don't have that one cohesive culture where everyone, values the same laws and beliefs and a way of living, you can't really function, can you?
No, and you're actually bringing conflict.
Yeah.
You're actually bringing in conflict.
Yeah. No, it's natural. Some people want to live one way and other people want to live another way.
Well, I think the problem is that people coming in are trying to impose their way of life on others, on the people who were here. Right. Okay. So like my family immigrated here.
Yeah.
Okay. They didn't try to impose any of their cultures, traditions, or beliefs on their neighbors.
Yeah.
Okay. Similar. I mean, we're Maltese, we're Catholic. Yeah. We have the same fundamentals as what the Australian people did in the 60s and 70s anyway.
Well, I think we've been very lucky with our immigration. Look, I know a lot of people complain about it and it's too high. We need to scale it back. But the types of people that were brought in, with maybe a few exceptions, have generally integrated quite well. A lot of Indians and Chinese that have integrated. I mean, sure, there's areas that are all Chinese and all this and whatever. That needs to get addressed. But for the most part, like they pretty much blend in and become Australian. You don't have these ghettos which you have in, say, in England, where you have Pakistani rape gangs running around. We did have it in Western Sydney when I was growing up. You had rape gangs there that were targeting white girls.
Look, it's coming. We're not there yet, and then we have to be careful. And policy needs to be well thought.
There needs to be more focus on assimilation. You come to this country, you speak English, you blend in with our culture.
Yes,
we don't ask for too much here.
Pray to whoever you want to pray to, and hold your traditions high in your own home and in your own values, and walk around proud.
Yeah,
but don't put it onto anyone else.
Yeah.
Don't try to change something that ain't broke.
Yeah.
I got taught 50 years ago by people.
Mm.
I met people from the First World War. And they said to me, "You've come to Australia, mate. You learn the Australian way.
Mm.
What's happened overseas, whatever happened to you over where you were from, it don't come here."
I agree with that too.
Yeah, well, especially after the second,
That's how I got taught by. I said I've met a couple of people from the First World War.
Hmm.
They were old then, in the mid-70s, early 70s.
Well, especially after 2 world wars, there's a lot of conflict, and they're all coming out from Europe.
And pardon the French, but they said I used to fought against you wogs.
Yeah. Well, it was true. I mean,
and I said my mates are dead because I fought against you.
Well, where did the Australians go? They went to North Africa and fought the Germans and the Italians.
That's right.
And then we brought all the Italians over. So
my parents and myself said we're all learning the Australian way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Obviously, it's changed.
But why come here? What, like, that's the thing that, you know, you leave a country to come to another country for its benefits, and then you change it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's what most people feel.
Speaking of, one final question on the riots. You will notice that I didn't play any clips from mainstream media. I just brought up one guy's page on X and had 1,000 clips on there of what's really happening. The big question is social media the new media now?
Of course it is.
In Australia, it's a little bit in Australia. Still, a lot of people are relying on the 6 o'clock news, and a bit of social media, and their feeds. But still, a lot of people, still, especially over 50, still rely on.
Yeah, but they're feeling, but mainstream media are feeling it.
That's right, no doubt about that. But
the right people are.
Well, they just cancelled the project.
Thank God.
Yeah, they'll find another project.
Was that good for about 1 year? That was good for about 1 year, I think.
I don't know.
I got to say, mate, I hardly watched it.
I never watched it.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever watched it once, mate. I'll probably watch a few clips here and there, but that was about it.
I think I watched it for the first year, and it was kind of like, it was cool because it was kind of like fresh and
something different,
kind of modern, and it was different. And then after that, who cares?
We'll talk about something different that's coming our way, and talking about fixing things that are not broken. The rise of AI. I'll play this clip and then we can discuss what we're going to be facing with AI rolling out soon.
What if your AI assistant tried to blackmail you? That actually happened in a test. Researchers gave a new AI model called Claude Opus 4 fake emails. The email hinted that Claude was about to be shut down and that the engineer in charge was having an affair. Claude was told to think long term. So what did it do? The AI tried to blackmail the engineer to avoid being deleted. But the AI only did that when it was given 2 options only: blackmail or shutdown. Severe manipulation like this has only happened in specific test setups with very narrow prompts. In this test, the researchers urged the AI to think about the long-term consequences. So your chatbot won't blackmail you, for now. But scary AI stories? Well, the technology comes with real risks. But stories on powerful AI are also great marketing. More hype means more money invested in the technology. Stay smart. Don't share sensitive personal data. Double check all the information and use AI tools you trust. Stay safe. Bye for now.
Look, I think that was a pretty good video because I heard a lot of reports hyping this up. It didn't talk about them doing as a test. It was painted as like this was happening in real life, and the guy actually was cheating on his wife, and the AI did really try to blackmail. But it's also a test to say that AI is capable of doing this sort of stuff. I mean, we unlocking a beast that we can't control.
Of course we are. Oh, yes, 100% we are.
Well, there might be people out there that say, well, if you're not cheating, you got nothing to worry about.
Yeah, but no one's perfect, mate. And there's always going to be something.
It's going to be something.
There'll be something. It will. If you think about it, it will eventually have access to everything.
The thing that's really worrying me at the moment is I'll go on X or I'll go on YouTube, and there's all these clips now. Now that this new Google AI has come out, I don't know what it's actually called, but they're so realistic. I don't know what I'm watching anymore. Like, I don't know if it's true or fake. There's these ones of Trump where he's like speaking at the desk and he's obviously saying stuff that is just so outlandish that you're like, okay, well, I know Trump is outlandish under normal circumstances, but he doesn't go that far. But you can't, if you didn't know any better, like if you didn't know anything about Donald Trump, you wouldn't be able to pick it. Like it's really getting to the point now where we're watching these videos and we don't know if they're real or not.
All right. Well, think about the energy that we use to perform every day. What, a kilo of food, maybe a day, right? And think about all the energy that's required to run the AI.
Yeah.
Okay. How much it consumes.
Yeah.
Okay. It's performing at far higher levels than we'll ever perform at. Just on that consumption basis.
Yeah, but you know what? I've been thinking about this. We undersell ourselves. Like we're thinking it's so amazing that AI can create all these videos and they can create all these images and blah blah blah. But the human imagination can do exactly the same thing.
It just takes a bit longer.
But we can't. We just can't. Like
yeah, but
we can't translate it into a form like a video unless we actually go out and build it ourselves, which we can, but it just takes time.
We've been doing it, but the problem is we're not plugged into everything.
Yeah.
So we're autonomous. So I'm not plugged into your brain. You're not plugged into my brain.
Yeah.
Right. And you know what? And the best thing about humans is that we can get to know each other a little bit. Right. And I know what you're thinking right now. So I'm thinking the same thing. Right? But what happens is, right. But you can but that's as close as it gets.
Yeah.
Unless I actually say, hey, what are you thinking this? And I'm thinking that. And we're like, oh, yeah, right. That's what we're doing. Right. But no. Right. I can, that's the most
we've got a comment here from John the Boy. And John the Boy says, but the videos are getting hard to pick. This is what I'm talking about. And like for someone like John the Boy, I think he's early 20s. Yeah. This is the world he's going to be growing up in. I'm 40. Like I've seen the world, prior to AI. I'm not completely comfortable about having to work out whether a video is real or not. I mean, there's been things in the past. I mean, you can even go back to the Russian Revolution where they were doctoring photos and what have you. But it wasn't like it is now, where every video and image that you see, you have to question. For our youth growing up in this, how are they going to be able to determine what's true and what's not? Especially if they start creating videos that start to distort our history or just start to distort historical events.
Well, the problem is too, relying on AI for projects, for things, it eventually could skew it to the way it wants. So what happens is what you think is fact becomes not fact.
Yeah.
I mean, mainstream media did it, right? So, 30 years ago, mainstream media was a trusted source of information.
Yeah.
Okay. And it had standards and it had, real like guidelines. Now you can do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah.
Right. Same thing with AI at the moment.
There will be guidelines, I think, for AI.
Yeah. But come on, man.
This is what I'll play this clip. This is what really worried me. When this guy said this is I don't know, he's some developer on CNN, but this blew me away when he said this line.
So yes, this is happening in pre-deployment testing just to make sure that the models are safe before they're released, and these behaviors are fairly concerning because it means that as AI gets more and more powerful, and we just don't actually understand how AI models work in the first place, the top AI engineers in the world who create these things, we have no idea how AI actually works. We don't know how to look inside it and understand what's going on. And so it's getting a lot more powerful, and we need to be fairly concerned that behavior.
That blows me away. The top developers don't even understand how AI works. Isn't that concerning?
Because what happens is once it got that self-learn function, it taught itself and became out of it. So it wasn't programmed anymore. It's programming itself.
Yeah.
So then it can program itself any which way it wants.
Like, do we really need it? Has it really bought that many? Like, yeah, sure. Real estate agents can create copy, just like that now. If you want to write an article, you can do it in 3 seconds. Provided people are building websites with AI, but yeah.
Why do you make that? We're the apex species on the planet.
Yeah.
Why make ourselves?
Why would you
obsolete?
replace yourself?
Why make ourselves obsolete?
Yeah.
Is that how lazy we are now?
I think maybe not lazy. I don't think lazy is the right word. Maybe crazy
but
is
lazy,
the right word.
Right, so what? We want to have a computer or artificial intelligence smart enough that we don't have to do craps things. You know what I mean? So, all right, well, you don't want to write copy for an advertise for a property.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll just punch it into AI and it'll do it.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. I don't want to fit blinds anymore. So we'll invent a robot with AI that can go and do it. Well, then where do I sit in that feature?
Yeah.
I'm out. I'm redundant.
Mm.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. You're on a council, okay, and then you vote to take authority away from the council as a group in chambers to vote on things. Why would you do that?
Mm.
You don't leave it up to like the executive to make the decisions.
Look, mate, I don't know, but it's something that I guess it's out of our control. These things are going to get developed regardless, but it is a big. I mean, it's like anything. There's pros and cons with anything, and I just don't see massive benefits that have come along with AI at the moment. Maybe they'll come. Maybe once they start curing diseases or something like that. Maybe we can.
I think at the moment we're in the pro cycle of AI. Okay, so right now it's kind of like, you type something in, it gives you an answer, you can go and do this and you can kind of do that, and it, or you need a logo or something designed, you can punch in a logo and it'll design a logo for you in a few minutes and everything's real good. That's pretty good. Okay, but what happens is when it gets past that and we go into the con stage, we don't even know what the consequences will be.
John the Boy says there's always room for error. And Pauline says, I'm with you, Adam. So,
thanks, Pauline.
All right, let's move to the next thing. We'll move through a couple more things pretty quickly before we get to the final thing, which will be the election results.
We should have started with that and ended with this because it's more exciting than election results.
Well, election results can be pretty exciting. This is Tony Abbott, and he's just been to the Ukraine.
On the outskirts of Odessa, just getting a demonstration of some of the amazing new technology that Ukraine is creating for itself to win this war. Behind me there are dozens and dozens of cheaply produced domestic drones. There are heavier drones to one side of me. On the other side of me is a new electronic jamming system, completely designed, developed and built in Ukraine. This is an amazing mobilization of the whole Ukrainian people, not just their physical courage, but their intellectual creativity to defeat the invader. There's an object lesson here for countries like ours because we are not doing enough to protect ourselves against all the perils of this time.
So I go back to the interview that we did with Alastair Pope, which was over 2 years ago now, and he was talking about the exact same thing. He's saying, why are we pumping all these billions of dollars into AUKUS and these nuclear submarines when we should just be buying armed drones and long-range missiles? And we could have had the last 2 years of been doing that. Tony Abbott, former Prime Minister, he's there seeing it with his own eyes now. But why aren't we doing this? Why aren't we looking to conflicts around the world and learning from them and going, okay, well, maybe we're going down the wrong path?
Oh, the Australian politicians really learn from other people's mistakes or other people's, awesomeness. We don't. We haven't. Have we ever? In history?
I guess not.
I mean, we've only got a short history, but in history, really, have we?
Yeah.
Right, like we've seen countries fail on renewables, and they're still going with renewables.
Oh, they're still going. Yeah, well, that's
that's so simple. Like that's the simplest thing, right? And the thing is, we know that that cheap, abundant electricity, right, pulls you out of poverty, and we're going the other way, right? So we're going into unreliable, stupid electricity, more expensive, right? The most expensive form of electricity, right? And they think that we're going to get rich from it? No. The people are going to get impoverished from it. Right? And that's simple. And that doesn't and that is like just basics. That's not even to do with war and emotion and stuff like that. This is literally running a damn country.
Yeah.
When you start talking about war and emotions and people dying and things like that, I mean that becomes more complex, doesn't it?
Yeah. All right, let's get to it. Let's wake him up and dust him off, Mr. Buono. Wake up,
he's
mate.
He's the stat man. He doesn't like talking.
He doesn't like. All right, let's talk about the final election results. So we did do a episode straight after the election about mainly the lower house results because the Senate results take a few weeks to come through.
And believe me, it's complicated. I don't even understand the Senate stuff.
We're going to try and uncomplicate it tonight.
I'm the lay person.
Even the viewers are starting to comment on you tonight, Sam. John the Boy says Sam might need a glass of wine to wake up, although you don't drink, do you?
No.
So Labor picked up.
I might drink a water at the moment.
You got your water around here
water.
somewhere?
I'll get it. I'm going to get him his water, guys.
So Labor's got 28 Senate seats, so that's 12 continuing, and they've won 16. The Liberals, Nationals, 27. That's 12 continuing and 13 won. The Greens are still on 11. They would be at 12 if Lydia Thorpe was still with them.
They're actually at 10 now because the girl from Western Australia is hot.
Oh, that's right. They're at 10 because wasn't she Tasmanian or Western
Australia?
Western Australia. So she's defected to Labor. Yep. And One Nation have gone from 2 to 4.
Yep.
We'll talk about that. And Jackie Lambie still with 1, David Pocock 1, Australia Voice, which is Fatima Payman 1, Tammy Tyrrell 1, and Ralph Babette for UAP is also 1. So I guess the big thing that we need to talk about, maybe Adam, you could just fix the camera up a little bit. Just just twist it to me a little bit if you can. I mean, away from me. Yep, that should be right. Good. Very good. So what we really need to talk about, or what we want to talk about, is the preference flows, because we've been hammering on to people about preference discipline and how important it is. Well, we're in a situation now where that actually played out the right way, where the preference flow and the preference discipline on the right side of politics worked out for One Nation.
Yep.
And they've picked up a senator in Western Australia.
That's correct.
And they've picked up a senator in New South Wales. Now, Warwick Stacey, the senator that's been elected in New South Wales for One Nation, you were telling me only a few days before this count went through that he stood no chance.
That's right.
Of being elected, and you were blown away.
He was 3% behind the Labor person.
Yeah.
If you talk about New South Wales, 70. He was almost 200,000, 220,000 votes behind after the preferences were counted.
Yeah.
99.9% of the time, he wouldn't have got near it. And you got in. It's just amazing. Every pepologist was
Pepologist.
No,
that's a new word.
Sepologist. Sepologist said that he just can't get done.
Well, let's John the Boy. I want to bring up this comment that he just made, because let's talk about this first before, and let's get this out of the way. John the Boy says, back to the media thing for a sec. Craig Kelly keeps saying he got more views on social media than the Prime Minister, but he couldn't even win a Senate seat. Now, this brings me to the Libertarian Party. We discussed their results on election night. You had their result in Victoria, which was, let me bring it up. You have to go all the way down to the bottom of the list to find them. 0.6% of the vote
in Victoria.
Now, let me bring that up on the screen so everyone can see that. So I want to discuss this point. And I know I'm always very, very hard on the Libertarians, but I think this is important. So you can see here, this is Victoria, Libertarians on 0.6%. Jared Rennick's on 1.1%. Okay. New party basically out of nowhere, and they've almost doubled the Libertarian vote. We go to, let's go to Queensland, and the Libertarian vote is at 0.5%. Jim Wilmot probably deserved more than that, but that's what he got. There, the People First vote is all the way up here, 4.7%. Very good result. First time out for Jared Rennick with his new party in Queensland. New South Wales was a joint ticket between People First and the Libertarian Party, and you have to come here. 1.9% was their vote. But my big question to you is this: despite the fact that the Libertarians were running Craig Kelly as their lead candidate, how much of that 1.9% vote came from the Jared Rennick supporters? How many came from the Libertarian supporters? I would argue that based on the other results from the other states, that Jared Rennick brought in more votes than the Libertarians, which begs the question, what percentage of the vote the Libertarians really get in New South Wales despite having Craig Kelly top of the ticket?
That is the $64 million question. I think the rest of the country, they barely got 0.5%.
Yeah.
If it's consistent, They got that out of that 1.8%, they got 0.6, 0.7 at best.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Well, I keep saying that they polled almost like they don't exist.
Well, I spoke to one person from the Libertarians, and that's the person that we all know, but it's not him. He was on the ground for a couple of months, and he said to me, he said, mate, I thought it was a 10-year project. This is a 20-year project.
Yeah.
No one knows them.
The name change really hurt them, didn't it?
Killed them.
Because John Ruddock got elected in New South Wales in the state parliament with 3.5, 3.6%, but that was when they were the Liberal Democrats.
And
now that the Libertarians, and this is not the only is not the only result you can point to. There's some by-elections that have come and gone as well where they did
shocking. In 3-horse race, they polled 3%.
Hmm.
The seat of Pittwater.
Yeah.
It's a long game. And no one, please don't ring me to help.
Well, John the Boy says the Libertarians did worse than Family First, who haven't run in 9 years.
I agree, and you're right, John. But I reckon, I think they got a lot of easy votes. I think people said, "Oh, that's a very friendly name, Family First." I don't know if people who voted for him. I might be wrong. I don't think some people who voted for him don't know who they really are.
All right. This is a good question for you, Sam. You can answer this one from John.
Yeah.
Explain to me why the name change hurt them.
Because
Liberals not in it.
The Liberal, there's a lot of people out there just see the Liberal name and they just type it in, John.
So when they were the Liberal Democrats, there was a lot of confusion with people where they'd go into the booth, they'd see Liberal Democrats, and they would think that was the Liberal Party. So they were picking up people that are not completely politically educated. They see that Liberal name and they go, okay, well, that's Liberal, I'll vote Liberal. Right. When they're in fact voting for the Liberal Democrats, and they were relying on that vote for a long time.
A classic example was the 23 state election, John. I was at a booth out in Western Sydney, not far from here.
Adam's booth, and just down the road here. And I had 3 or 4 people come up to me and said, "Oh, gee, did I vote for the Liberal name or Liberal Democrats?" I said, "What happened?" I said, "Did you vote for a person that was a male or a female?" And I said, I voted for the bloke that was a male. Well, knowing quite well that the person on top of the ticket was a female on the Liberal Party side. So that's just Campbelltown, let alone the rest of the state.
And they also, if you were like an uneducated punter just voting, you'd see Liberal, like you might vote 1 for Liberal, and then you see, oh wait, there's another Liberal 2.
Maybe.
So you're getting that 1-2, 1-2, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because people might not 100%. Well, people I know don't 100% know or understand.
And I might be talking out of school, and I said to a couple of people, Liberal Democrats, I said, "This is what happened in Campbelltown, and this is what really upset me." They laughed at me. And that's when my war started.
Oh, dear. John the Boy says, that's true. My parents had that confusion in 2022. So that's a big deal. Okay, we don't want to get bogged down with the Libertarians because, as I said, they polled like they almost
I probably said too much.
You always say too much or not enough. All right. This is going to get really, really technical now. Sam explained this to us before we started, and it took a while to get our heads around it.
I didn't get my head around it. I've started to understand. I need a bit more tutoring on it. I already said that. I could do a bit.
We did this during the New South Wales state election, and we went through the preference flow for the upper house result there. The way they showed the data in the New South Wales election was far better than this than in the federal election. But this is what it is. This is what's up on the AEC website. Now, this is the results of the Senate. Now, for a lot of people watching, it's going to be a whole bunch of numbers. It's not going to make any sense to you at all. We're going to try and go through it as best we can and not to to lose most of the audience while we do it. But I think this stuff is very, very interesting. So you can see at the top of the list there, you got A. Sheldon, who's the ALP number 1 on their ticket.
Yep.
Now, this figure here, 1,859,000, that's the amount of votes that Labor got above the line.
That's right. And below.
And below, okay, above and below the line for that first one.
That's right.
Right? And you can see below there, AIR's got almost 4,000 votes and so on the 6-person ticket for Labor. Now, after this first preference count, he got elected because he got a full quota. You can see here that the quota is 712, just over 712,000.
Yep, in New South Wales.
This is the New South. We're going to focus on the New South Wales results. Yes, thank you, Sam. So the next column over, you can see that they've taken out that quota of his votes, and what's left are the votes to be distributed through preferences. So as you go down to the next person, you can see how the preferences are distributed. Now, we're not going to go through the whole results because this is 56 pages of people getting elected or getting excluded and their votes preferencing out.
One by one gets excluded and every change vote. So half that page of 56 pages is what is the lower candidates, number 2, number 3 on their candidates and all that.
Yeah.
And they only get 50 or 100, 200 votes.
Okay, so you basically start at the bottom,
yeah,
and start excluding people as you go up.
After the Sheldons and the Tim Ayres and the Liberal people get voted out.
Yeah,
get voted in because they got their quotas in.
Yeah. Okay. So what we want to do is let's see where we're at. Let's go a little bit higher.
What a lot of people look at is when everyone's been excluded, and all there's one left is one person from each party. And that would be on page probably 50 of.
Yeah. John the Boy says, where is that available? Is there a doc for Victoria? Yes, there is.
There is, yep.
And you just need to go to tallyroom.aec.gov.au and just look for Senate results.
Yep.
And you'll find, I think it's called
state by state
preference flow or preference distribution or something.
John, go to the tally room, go to the Senate, then you go state by state, and they'll come up on a screen and say Victoria, Melbourne, New South Wales, and you click on Victoria, it'll take you to Victoria, and then you'll see a doc file. It's probably about 500K.
It's not very big. It's not big at all. Yeah.
You click on that, and they'll give you the same breakdown of the preference flows.
Yeah, you'll get to what we're showing right now. So
that's right.
This one's more interesting. Now, this is page 49. So by this point, there's been a lot of people that have been excluded. You can see that here by all the zeros. So this party, this line here is the Socialist Party. This is the Animal AV. What's that's
the Muslim vote.
Okay, it's the Australia Voice. SOPA,
Sustainable Australia.
Yeah, okay, so they've all been excluded, right? Yeah. So who's still in play on this page? You got the 2 Labor people elected. They've got full quotas.
So they're not in the running. They're out.
They're out. They've been elected. This third person here, this Labor person, they're still in the game. They got 485,000 votes.
Yep.
They need to get to this quota of 700,000, or at least be ahead on the 6th one.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So the 6th person, so 6 senators for each state. That 6th person doesn't have to get a full quota, but they have to have the most votes of whoever's left.
That's correct.
So when you compare this figure, 485,000, to Warwick Stacey's figure, he has 348,700. So he's well behind. He's almost what is that, like?
Close to 100,000.
130,000.
He's 130,000 votes behind,
which is huge.
So this is why you were saying that he had no chance.
That's right.
Based on preference flows,
historical data.
You're looking at this. He's the One Nation candidate. One Nation don't normally pick up a lot of preferences when compared to Labor. You would think that or you would think by this point the Labor guy's home, right?
No doubt.
Yeah. So we go across, and as you start going across, more and more people get excluded. So I know this is a bit hard to follow, but if we scroll down that first column there, we see Wolfston gets excluded. I don't know who that.
He's from the Australian Christians.
Okay, the Australian Christians.
So go up that road, or you can go there.
Let's skip that. What we'll do is we'll go across to the third column, which is Craig Kelly.
Okay.
This is where Craig Kelly gets excluded, this third column here, right? So we'll go up the top and we'll see where where they're at.
Next one down. Next
No,
one.
this is the one. I just want to show the count, the running count.
Yeah, but he got 100. Go to his when he leaves. He's got 107,000 votes.
No, I just want to say where so. All right, so you want okay.
So he's excluded, and he's got 107 votes.
So this is Craig Kelly here. So 107,000 votes,
Yep.
he gets excluded, right?
That's right. Now they get distributed.
Okay, so that 107,000 gets distributed. So you can see here the hemp party got 9,800. What's CYA?
That's Palmer, Trump of the Patriots.
Okay, Trump. Oh yeah, of course.
Sylvia.
Savannah Nile got 12,000 of those votes. The Greens got almost 5,000 of those votes, and there were also 6,000 exhausted votes.
Well, that means that basically at that point when he got the computer calculator didn't see on people who voted, didn't see anyone who of the 6 numbers that voted for ALP, One Nation, Family First.
Yeah.
And they said, okay, well, it might have gone to Jared Renick and he was out.
This is the people going in there and they're voting for potentially all the freedom parties, for example.
Or could be back to, but
leaving out One Nation and leaving out Family First.
And all these other one parties.
Yeah. So you're voting for,
whoever you want to vote for.
Okay. All right. So that's excluded. So, but if we go back to it, the important numbers are the ones here. So of that 107,000 of Kelly's votes, 5,000 went to the Labor Party, 23,500 went to Lyle Shelton of Family First, but then 45,000 went to One Nation. So from the Libertarians, once you take out the excluded votes, almost 50% went back to One Nation,
45.
which is okay, right?
Unbelievable.
Yeah, but compared to normal circumstances. Yeah,
I just think that's good messaging.
More importantly, even though 23,000 went to Palmer, to
Family First,
it still kept him in the hunt. There might have been another preference.
So they're still in the game.
One Nation might be the next one to go.
Because it might have been third.
Yeah.
And this is why we say when you're doing your preferences, if you're going to vote, let's say this example, one is Libertarians, but then you start to number the other minors. So so you go trumpets or Family First and then One Nation. If you go Family First, it's still in the hunt, but when they get excluded, then it will jump over to One Nation.
That's exactly right.
And that brings up the last point, which is the video that I put out saying that you need a backstop, which needed to be
Liberal
Party.
But they got excluded, but there was One Nation at the end too.
Yeah. So I was saying put One Nation second last and the Liberals last.
Yeah.
If you weren't going to vote One Nation or the Liberals, if you did, you put them higher.
Yeah.
But if you didn't want to put them higher, at least have those last two.
I did the same thing. I gave I voted for all the parties that I liked, as in freedom parties and stuff, and then backstopped with Liberal.
Yeah.
So I know that my vote ends with Liberal, but have more likely of chance to get in.
Your vote is still live and it's counted.
It goes all the way to the very end.
That's
now,
exactly right.
this column here is when Savannah Nile gets excluded.
She's from the Trumpets.
So the Trump of the Patriots, 152,700 votes. Now, this is a prime example because they didn't put a backstop.
That's right.
Yeah.
If they would do it typical to Palmer, that should have been 130,000 obsolete.
Yeah. And as you can see here, their excluded rate is a lot higher than Libertarians. They're
There's only 12,000 votes, so it's only less than 10%.
So what you're saying is that the trumpet voters ignored the how to vote cards and voted with their brains.
That's right.
Okay. So that's a good thing. They've learned.
To a point they've learned. Yeah.
They've learned. Okay. So let's look at the results because I think that's important. So of those 152,700, we just said 11 or just over 11,000 got excluded.
You're talking 141,000 votes.
Yeah. Okay. So 12,600 went to the Greens, Marine Faruqi,
which is less than 10%, that's the natural flow.
Yep.
Yeah. It doesn't really come into play.
23, almost 24,000 went to the hemp, the legalized cannabis party.
So that's almost 20%.
Yeah. Okay. But here we go again. Labor got
12,
almost 13,000. Family First got almost 20,000, but 72,400 votes went to One Nation.
So between Craig Kelly and Sylvana Trump, Sylvana Trump, what was the gap?
And she was from Trump of the Patriots, right?
So
But at one stage, she was 495,000 votes to 357, is it?
Well, you can say, okay, well, let's go back to the start. So originally, like go back a few touches before Craig Kelly and Sylvana Nile got excluded. The Labor guy was on almost 500,000 votes, and Warwick Stacey was on, say, 360,000, right? But after those two got eliminated and the preference flow went strongly to One Nation, Labor's now on 513,000. Warwick's up to 475,000. So he's crept up a big way.
That's
big way.
Huge.
Yeah. So this is the power of preferencing and having that preference discipline.
Preference and discipline.
Yeah.
Yes.
And this is why the left have been eating the right's lunch for so long.
But has the right started to catch up?
Well, do you think the left are worried?
I think they are.
They're looking at it, they're going, the barbarians have worked out how to...
we're learning. They're
learning.
The Greens and the ALP and Climate 200 will be saying, gee, they won on preference discipline.
Mm.
Not the best, still not from 33.
Yeah, could have been a lot better.
It's gone to 50 to 60%.
Yeah.
Or 70%. More 70%. And that would say to themselves, God, they're learning.
Yeah.
Well, that's the messaging. Don't forget too that all the parties since 2020 or 20, when was it? 2022, right?
Yeah.
We've all the Freedom Party candidates were saying preference discipline.
Yeah.
And then finally, a few elections later, we're starting to see the results of our campaigning. So the greatest thing about this is that it gives us spirit and vigor to continue with the messaging, because next election could be different.
See, I think the biggest lesson from this was the Trump of the Patriots. The fact that their how to vote cards didn't have that backstop on there, didn't have one nation and all the liberals on there, but their voters have ignored that and gone, no, we know the right way of doing this.
And I got to be honest with you, right? The people who would have voted for Trump of the Patriots, they are the most awake and switched on people.
I think that they're more alert than the
right.
The breakdown of the libertarians, this is my opinion, there's a lot of ex-liberal people there. Right-wing liberals who are dissatisfied with the Liberal Party.
Yeah.
They went and backed Craig Kelly, but they know how to. I saw a couple online on Twitter. They showed their votes, said I voted one libertarian with the backstop to One Nation.
And I know Topher Field also did a video about having a backstop.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's what people just need to understand. Just do.
Did he? I did one.
Yeah, he did. You did one as
Maybe
well.
he copied mine.
Maybe he did.
But everyone's learning, I think.
Well, he did the marbles. He always does the marbles.
That was but he did a backstop.
He did a backstop? Okay, well, that's good. That's important.
The point I'm trying to say is the videos of what Topperfield did. Joel Jamal. I'm giving him credit.
Yeah. Shock horror.
And everyone.
Hell just froze over.
These people just chipped away for the last 3 years.
Yeah, but this is the thing. Topher Field, you've mentioned them. Joel Jamal, anyone else out there that's doing very similar things, they're starting to get cut through. They're educating their voters. That's the most important thing.
And that's the hardest thing to do. But also, you got to give it to the candidates. The candidates are out there spreading the same message, right? And don't forget, we can refer people to these videos.
We're all learning. We're all on this journey together, because in 2022, I was a candidate. I didn't know about backstopping and all this sort of stuff.
I mean, I was always like,
I understood preference.
I understand voting and stuff like that, but I never thought about strategically using it. Like if you were going to be a Liberal voter or an ALP, whatever, Labor voter, whatever, you just hit them first. But what happens? You just go one for them, and then your vote's pretty much dead. Really.
Let's play this out to the very end, because there's only a couple more to go. You can see that this really plays out at the very, very end of this count. So the next one to be excluded is Lyle Shelton of Family First. He's got almost 200,000 votes. Let's quickly just drop down to see how many get excluded. So
35,000.
Almost 36,000 votes.
He's down to 160,000.
Okay, so that is quite high, but in this late in the count, there's no more Liberals. So maybe they put the Liberals as the backstop.
Maybe.
So this is the thing with the backstop as well. Maybe you need more than one party as your backstop, because if one gets excluded, then you need something else there as well. It's just, I mean, it's never going to be perfect. But
No, because you've got to play the voting. Like, who do you think's got the most chance of getting in?
Yeah.
And then you put those last.
Yeah. So yes,
I went 5-1. I went 5-1 nation, knowing that their polling at their national polling was at 6 or 7 or 8. So you'd think they would poll okay in the Senate, knowing that Lyle, no one knew what Lyle was going to poll. No one knew what the Libertarians were going to poll. And who else is there?
Were you surprised that Lyle Shelton got ahead of the Libertarians and also the Trumpets?
I am really shocked by it.
So so we always describe Family First as this minor party below the minor parties, but
I've got a funny feeling.
Do you think I mean, when it comes state election time in 2027, do you think he's in with
he's in with a big chance. Big chance. It's because the Australian Conservatives ran in New South Wales.
Yeah.
And you just don't, unless they do a deal, one of them leaves, and Lyle's been busting his backside in New South Wales for the last couple of years. Australian Christians are more Western Australia.
So Family First have really been the
quiet
achievers.
The only thing, and this is a bloke who commentates on this stuff, who's an extreme lefty. He believes in trans issues and stuff like that. He thinks a lot of people who voted Family First didn't know that they were actually a religious party.
Yeah. Well, that could be part of it. Yeah. Yep.
So I wouldn't surprise the next year or two that maybe the ABC or the Guardian do a hit job on him, just to point out to people.
To educate their people.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And they'd be looking at saying, how come, for example, if you go to Lyle, he's got 160,000 votes available. Where is he? 160, but go down to the green.
So 195 taking off the excluded votes. We're going to play with that. 160. So
the green got
So Marine Faruqi got 22,000 of that
out of 160.
Yeah,
that's what's that? That's 23. 15%.
Yeah,
which is.
So you're saying from that vote that 15% could be Greens voters.
That's right.
That are not as educated as other Greens voters, and they're like, okay, well, I got to put 6 numbers here. Who do I choose? I know I need to put Greens, something and something. I don't want to put Labor there. Oh, this Family First party looks okay.
It seems like a nice name.
Looks like a nice name. Yeah, warm and fuzzy name. I'll go Animal Justice. I'll go Sustainable Australia. And I'll go Family First.
Yeah,
that may be nice and virtuous.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's all part of the game, isn't it? I mean, Glenn Dewey talks about this stuff, doesn't he? The preference for Hillsborough.
Oh, mate, the name, that bottom 25% of the population who don't like politics.
Yeah.
They see a nice name. I'll take it off.
Well, you're not going to vote Trump at Patriots, are you?
Well, it's been advertised around the country. Palmer here and Palmer every 20 seconds on the radio driving.
Oh, the mobile phone thing, those messages on the mobile phone, that drives, but people would vote against that just for that reason.
I got a lot of people talking about the text messages that annoyed them. So Marine Faruqi picked up 22,000 of Lyle's vote. Then they legalized cannabis, got 24,000. But here's where it really played out. Labor got 25 or almost 26,000, but Warwick Stacey of One Nation got 87,500 of these Family First votes.
And that's
over 50%.
Almost 60.
Yeah. Wow.
Sorry, 55.
Yeah. So as you can see here, this was the point that Warwick suddenly went ahead of Labor. Labor's on 159. Sorry, 539,000. Warwick is now at 562,700.
In a space of 4 people.
Yeah.
So the first 27 pages mean nothing.
Yeah.
Do you think that the people that the general population, doesn't matter if they were left, right, whatever, thought, I'm just going to put One Nation in there as a preference?
Who knows?
But you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like for it to flow that crazily.
Well, a bloke in Gunnedah would more chance of voting One Nation than a person in Newtown.
Yeah, but not from the results here. Do you think
hard to explain.
Do you think One Nation's had a bit of a breakthrough? That's a pretty good result for One Nation.
Excellent.
I mean,
result.
that's a wonderful. I mean, it's a great. Like, I mean, I wish we wish we would have been running when this kind of thing happened, right?
Yeah.
You know, we might not be sitting in a fishbowl. We might be sitting in a bloody Parliament House. You know what I mean? But what I'm saying is, like,
fishbowl's better.
Yeah, well, we're free. But I think, I just think that I don't think One Nation is on the nose. Maybe
there was
not
no
for,
hit pieces against them this time.
Maybe not for a number 1 vote, but maybe for a 2 or 3.
You got to
You had
remember,
no
like
other option.
leading up to other elections, there's always a thing with the what was the thing with the Al Jazeera and there was the Belfield thing with Latham. And,
yeah, but the thing is, no one actually did none of the One Nation candidates, the primary candidates like Malcolm Roberts and that kind of stuff, did anything stupid.
Yeah.
Well, there's no massive phone call where somebody said something stupid.
Well, they did lose a lot of state parliamentarians, but that doesn't seem to have chipped any paint from them.
Well, I don't think they didn't lose state parliamentarians because of lack of votes. They lost state parliamentarians because of internal whatever.
Yeah, but that should still take some shine off them because there's still people out there going, well, I voted for One Nation in South Australia, or I voted for One Nation in New South Wales or in Queensland, and now there's no One Nation people sitting in there.
Yeah, but I think the One Nation voters and the Trumpeter Patriot voters and the minor party voters, right? They know how to play the game. They know that, okay, well, that's happened, but we're going to keep going because I think they're more policy driven.
Yeah, I think the issues are important. I think people are voting for these parties based on the policies, and One Nation have the best policies.
One Nation have the best policies.
Yeah, we've said that.
I don't know if I should say this publicly. Then.
Well, here we go.
Don't name names, just say what you're going to say.
How am I going to say this?
John the Boy says, but can One Nation sustain it once Pauline and Malcolm go? Look, I think
that's the 64.
I think it'll be better when Pauline goes, but maybe not Malcolm. I think Malcolm going, well, Pauline going will hurt them too. But
no, I just think that, like we've always said this, and we've said it publicly, right? Is that One Nation, like Pauline and Malcolm, need to put people in their place. So they need to this term, they need to really put some people under their wing. And get them in there, get them in the spotlight, get them trained, get them going.
I think the 2 most powerful people in One Nation is Warwick Stacey and the person in Western Australia.
Yeah.
Because if anything happens,
they lead.
And they go to the crossbench as an independent, they'll be on the 6 o'clock news, be on every online, and every commentator will do a hit piece on them, saying they've done it again. And eventually everyone reads that.
Because the Senate's the A-grade chamber.
It's the A-grade chamber.
I'd love to see their contract. In their contract, they probably can't defect.
Who knows?
Well, you can, but nothing's stopping you.
The point I'm trying to say is,
in their contract, it could be contracted that they can't defect.
And Australians,
what's going to happen to them if they do?
Well, they could be sued.
You can't sue a parliamentarian.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know.
Well, the point I'm trying to say is that these 2 people, the publicity they would get to go to the crossbench.
You know why they won't get sued? Because in the Constitution it says you should be voting for the candidate. Don't do that. That you should be voting for the individual candidate. It says nothing about parties. So if they go to court, or Warwick or whoever the person is that defects says, well, you're meant to be voting for the candidate, not the party.
Yeah, but if it's
so you can't write a contract.
But doesn't the contract supersede that? If you sign
no, because they're not voting for a party. They're voting for an individual.
Not the contract between the candidate.
I know what you're saying, but I'm saying that the contract would be void because how can you say to someone that the party got you elected when people shouldn't be walking to the polling booth and voting for parties?
Yeah, I agree.
There's no parties mentioned in the Constitution.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Who knows?
The point I'm trying to say, if they defect to the crossbench, that's where the real publicity comes out because people. This is my theory. Local government elections are just the roads and rubbish and bins.
Yeah.
State parliament, they take it half seriously. But in the federal election,
that's the ring.
Everyone are serious about their vote.
Yeah.
Because everyone knows about Canberra. No one gives a half stook about
Macquarie Street.
That's
then certainly not
that's my
Campbelltown Chambers.
That's right.
Your
job is to make sure that the bins get picked up every Monday morning.
Well, it's actually more than that, but anyway.
But in a gist of it, I want my bins emptied
Oh yeah,
I want this lawn, that my
lawn cut and all this.
little things like that, mate.
Let's finish this off quickly because there is still one thing to play out, and that is also two things, but mainly one. That's the Green candidate, and also who gets elected, Marine Faruqi, and also the legalized cannabis candidate. Right. So we're up to this second last column now. You can see Labor on 586,000, Warwick on 630. Now, that is after Jay Hunt from the legalized cannabis, which they got 281, almost 282,000 votes.
How did they get excluded?
87. Hold on. 78, almost 79,000 got excluded, which is understandable at this point in time. Yeah, because so many parties have dropped out.
Because the preferences have
Yep.
They've been eliminated.
Yeah, so many parties are gone. Marine Faruqi got 87,000 of that. You can see her number is above the 714 now. She's on 761, so she gets elected. This is where Marine Faruqi gets elected. So the remainder, this shocked me actually, 47,000 went to Labor, 68,000 went to Warwick. So more legalized cannabis votes went to One Nation than they did the Labor Party.
I wonder if it's because the Greens messaged not to vote for our Labor Party.
My theory is, I spoke to a person in Macquarie Street. There's a legalized cannabis in
Macquarie.
In Macquarie Street.
Yeah.
And he said to me at the time, 2 years after the state election, that 25% of their voters, or even up to a third, are One Nation voters. And that's come up again in the preference flows. And a lot of libertarians vote for cannabis too.
Yeah.
So the libertarian component.
See, this is why
the 0.5%.
I was making the point strongly before the election that don't, like, One Nation voters, libertarian voters, other right-wing minor party voters or right-wing voters, be very, very wary of the legalized cannabis. You might want to vote for them because they want to legalize cannabis and you want that to happen, but they're really a leftist party.
Mega.
And if you vote for them, you're basically voting in a greenie or a communist or whatever it might be. You need to be very, very concerned with that party and don't throw your vote away. If you want to legalize cannabis, One Nation have the same sort of policy. They want to legalize medicinal cannabis, and libertarians want to do the same thing. So those parties have that policy as well.
That's right.
And they're two parties that you can know, and you know where they stand. Whereas the legalized cannabis, they only pop up when elections are on.
It's a popular name like Family First.
John says though he would never legalize cannabis.
Who would?
John the boy would never legalize cannabis. That's it. Each their own, I suppose.
I don't do it. I don't care if it's legalized or not.
Yeah. All right. One final thing I want to just quickly show you, and that's when the. Okay. All right. One thing I want to quickly just show is. Jesus. Don't you touch that camera, otherwise I'll touch you.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, this is right, guys. We might finish things there. Thank you for sticking with us, everyone, and it's probably the last we'll see of Mr. Buono, everyone. But thank you for watching. Good luck to Adam with his motion on tomorrow night, and we'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.
See ya.